All right. Me myself, I'm shocked because Apostle Ken. I can't believe what he's saying because if they said they want to disburse this money and it happened to be on Friday, why don't you let them disburse this money? Why saying that on Friday is the public holiday and we can't disburse that money on Friday? Guys, I want you to pay attention, listen very carefully for yourself because this is really interesting. I don't know why. Subscribe to the update and share this piece of information so that other people can also benefit through you sharing this piece of information and subscribe.
The directors, CEOs of all the the directors of the banks were in the meeting, and it was a really call-off meeting to just terminate everything. But Lord, it became an instrument that God used. So there and then they were instructed. Instruction were given to you, CBN, to let God give the banks authorization to disburse quickly. In fact, from the presidency, the way I had, and the order came from the presidency that the money be disbursed that same Friday. Let them start. But they had to tell them that it's not possible based on banking systems.
Yes, today is the 15th of January 2025, and that message you just listened to right now from Apostle Ken, I want to draw an inference from that, especially for those who thinks that there's no funds to disburse at all. Now, there has been a lot of speculations and doubts surrounding the grant disbursement, with some claiming that there is no fund availability to be disbursed. But let's address this. Is it truly possible that there is no fund? From all indications, that claim is far from the truth. The evidence speaks for itself. Meetings have been held, progress has been made, and assurances have been given time and time again. So the big question now remains, why are some individuals spreading the narrative that there is no fund to be disbursed? Is it misinformation? Is it misunderstanding? Or deliberate attempt to mislead the people? Now, if we carefully examine Apostle Ken's statement and the entire process so far, it becomes clear that funds do exist and have been earmarked for this purpose. The process has been long and at times it could be frustrating, but progress has consistently been made. If there are no funds, why would there be so much effort, planning, and communication about the grant's disbursement? What purpose would it serve for Apostle Ken and other stakeholders to continue to engage the masses if there was no intention to deliver on said promise? Now, let us turn our attention to a more pressing question. Which money is Apostle Ken making reference to in that statement? This is a question that many are asking, and rightly so. Is he referring to original fund that has been the focal point of the grant discussions? Or is there another source or allocation that has recently come into play? Could it be that there are multiple streams of funds that are being processed simultaneously? There are critical questions that deserve clear answers right now, and they underline the importance of transparency and communication at this stage. So it is essential to revisit the context of Apostle Ken's leadership and the trust he has garnered throughout this process in the grant ecosystem. His repeated reassurances and references to the funds give us reasons to believe that the money exists and that the delay is not a matter of unavailability, but perhaps some procedural bottlenecks in the system. If this is the case, then why are there still whispers or doubts? Could it be that some people are intentionally trying to sow discords and confusion? Or are they simply unaware of the facts and they are basing their opinions on mere assumptions and flicks? Another question arises. If there were no funds, why has Apostle Ken continued to emphasize patience and trust in the process? I believe that his consistent updates and references to the disbursement process also suggest a deep sense of responsibility and a commitment to seeing this through. Would someone of his stature and integrity make such bold declarations without a solid basis? These doubts and claims need to be weighed against the facts. Consider the meetings that have been held and the efforts that have been made to keep everyone informed at different times. The very structure of the grant project has been carefully designed with multiple stakeholders involved, and all this points to the existence of the funds and the ongoing efforts to release them. So if there were no funds, wouldn't the process have collapsed long time ago? To those who continue to claim there is no funds, it is time to pause and reflect. Are these claims backed by facts, or are they simply fueled by frustrations and impatience from their side? It is natural to feel anxious during a prolonged waiting period, but let's not allow doubts to cloud our judgment or derail the process. Yes. Conclusively, the evidence right now overwhelmingly suggests that the funds exist and efforts are being made to disburse them. And the real questions are, which money is Apostle Ken referring to be disbursed? And how much longer will the process take? As we continue to ask these questions, let us maintain our faith. Let us stay informed and avoid spreading unverified claims that could undermine the collective progress that we have made so far. Let us remember God's timing is the perfect time for a shot, and His promises never fails. The answers that we seek will come, and the blessings definitely would follow. Let us stay very, very hopeful, united and patient as we await the final breakthrough. The fact remains that when we revisit the context of the county director's leadership and his commitment and trust in the entire process, what he has used time to amass over time, his assurances towards the grant ecosystem, there are references that the funds are definitely available for disbursement, and they exist. So in this case, you need not to doubt. Doubting is not an option here. It shouldn't be part of the deal. So I want us to reflect basically on all of this information. Thus, the fact that the communication from the organ, the fact that it remains open and it has not been slammed, does this not reinforce the fact that the funds do exist, but the process of disbursement may be more complex than we actually realize? So another point to possibly reflect on is the purpose of the misinformation that is being spread. Who stands to gain from creating confusion and doubt about the funds? Are these rumors being fueled by individuals that actually lack faith in this process? Or are there other motives that they have behind everything? Yes, in times of waiting, misinformation often spreads faster than the truth. And it's a responsibility collectively. It's a collective responsibility to seek clarity on this matter, to stay informed and avoid giving into the baseless claims that only serves to disrupt progress that we all anticipate. I want you to know that as we ponder upon these questions that came up, we must also remember that our faith in this process or on this journey counts. And God's timing is not ours. His ways are beyond human understanding. What may seem like a delay or setback to us could very well be God's way of preparing something far greater than we ever expected. So So doubts and challenges are unavoidable sometimes. Yes, but there are also opportunities for us to deepen our trust in God. Apostle Ken's repeated references to patience and trust could have as well been aligning perfectly with this perspective that we all garner right now. It's reminding us to hold on to our faith and not to lose sight of the bigger picture that is right ahead of us. And the ongoing anticipation right now of the grand disbursement is also teaching us something of value and being able to persevere. The lessons that we are able to learn during this waiting period, it could be that this season is refining us, is building hope in us, building trust in us, and preparing us to be able to manage the blessings that is right there at the door to come to us. Waiting is rarely easy, but it's often necessary. It allows us to grow. It allows us to reflect. It allows us to align our perspective and align ourselves with God's divine purposes. And these moments that appears to be like moments of uncertainty are not wasted at all. They are building blocks for the fulfillment of God's promises in our lives. So looking ahead, the question that remains most pressing and prominent in our hearts should be, what will be the outcome of this process? What will the outcome of the process teach us about the unity that we're supposed to have, the faith and the hope that we're supposed to sustain? As a community within this grand ecosystem, we have been united by a shared goal and a collective belief in the promise of this grant over the years. This unity is a powerful force that can overcome doubts and overcome negativities, and the eventual realization of the funds, by the time it comes, it will not only validate our faith, but also serve as a reminder of what we can achieve when we stand together in a collective, indestructible oneness. May I say this, that while doubts and rumors in some organs persists, the facts and progress tells a different story. The funds do exist. The funds do exist. And I say that again, that the funds do exist to pay. So the process is ongoing, and we are closer than ever to the breakthrough that we have been waiting for. Let us remain very steadfast in our faith. Let us be supportive of one another, and let us focus on the promises that lies ahead of us. The questions we ask now will soon be answered. And when that day comes, we will look back with gratitude in our hearts for the journey that brought us here. So I want you to stay very hopeful and stay united. Trust that the best is yet to come, and all of us shall be in this best together. Nobody shall take your place within the grand ecosystem. Nobody shall swindle what God has in store for you. It is yours. It is yours. The implications of doubting the existence of the funds could be grave. So spreading doubt does not benefit anybody. It doesn't bring us closer to the solution. No. It doesn't create a division. It doesn't create a better life. It rather creates divisions and negativity. Thank you very much. In moments like this, misinformation can spread like wildfire. It can fuel frustration, and it can fuel impatience. So it is our responsibility collectively to stay grounded, to seek the truth, and to avoid contributing to a narrative that lacks substance or evidence. Because if you are not careful, shortly after now, that voice that have always been coming to counter the fact that there is grant or there is fund to pay will soon erupt again. When it discover that you've been silent for a while, it will come up again to tell you there is nothing in the system. And you see the converts that it has won over time will begin to follow through, and it begins to spread like wildfire. The impact of such claims on the community as a whole, do they really inspire hope? Do they create fear or uncertainty for others? The journey has been about more than just the grant. It has been a test of your faith. It has been a test of our unity together collectively. And this doubt and misinformation, they will threaten to erode the very foundation of what has brought us together within this shared collective goals. So we must remain vigilant in our faith and trust that God is working behind the scenes, even when the answers are not immediately clear right now. As we look at Apostle Ken's leadership and in expectation of the broadcast, the way he carries this vision, despite the challenges, there are commitments to it. There are commitments to it. Let us stay very hopeful and stay together. We shall surely come your way again.